See how long it thinks for. We're good?
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our fifth session with Donna Schellenburg to the core Pilates and fitness regarding the 6 pillars of health. Tonight, we're talking about cognitive and mental health. So looking forward to this evening. I was checking in on last week's emotional health, and it sounded like a really good session. And again, thank you to Tess for helping out with that one. I couldn't make last week. I was under the weather, so it's great to have a team that can jump in and help. But anyways, tonight we're going to talk about cognitive health and mental health. So I'm going to pass it over to Donna here, and we'll get started, and we'll have some back and forth and some discussion. So.
Yeah. So I think we'll start off today with, when I talk about mental health, I'm talking about cognitive health. And when a lot of people talk about mental health, they're very much on the emotional side of the mental health spectrum. I think that your mental health is very tied to your cognitive health. So what is your brain telling you, right?
Yeah.
And if your brain is healthy, then does that have an effect on your mental health? Of course, right? So I think sometimes those terms are a little interchangeable. And so today we're more talking about the cognitive health side of it and really how your brain functions, right? So the biggest thing is, when we talk about cognitive health, we're talking about how do you think, how do you learn, how do you remember, right? How are you problem solving? Are you capable of doing all of those things?
Right.
Because that's a sign that your brain is working really, really well, right? When we lose that ability and we're not learning and we're not able to problem solve anymore, it's usually a sign that there's something going wrong, right? There's a problem in there. We're not problem solving. The second part of it is, are you productive? How sharp is your mind, right? And you feeling like, I've got her together today, right? Or are you feeling like you're really dropping all the pieces and it's like, oh, I just lost my last marble today. I don't know what's going on, right? And then the third part of that is all about your mindset. How are you feeling? Are you able to be insightful, right? How's that productivity? And maybe even a little bit about how's your perspective and your outlook on life. And I think that's kind of where we cross the line a little bit between the cognitive and the mental health, because your perspective and your outlook on the things that are outside of yourself really do have an impact on the mental health side of it, right? So that's really the first part is, oh, I did get it to work. I was worried it wasn't actually going to go today. So this is where I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Because this, when I'm talking to clients and we get to this pillar, and when I recognize that this is maybe something that we need to be discussing, this is the question that I will ask them. So what happened the last time you were presented with a big logistical challenge?
Oh, good question. Well, first you need to kind of step back and process it. You got to think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think it through how or what's going to happen to make it work, or how you're going to get through the process, right?
Yeah. And this is a big part of your job.
Sure.
Yeah. Right? And everybody that's part of the executive and everybody works at co-op, that's part of the process for a lot of you, right? In management especially. So when I ask that question, what I'm looking for is, how is your mind working around that problem? Right? Because a big logistical challenge has a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of parts that go into that, right? And so what is your capacity for insight? So are you able to step back and kind of, like you just said, look at it and go, where do I need to prioritize? Where can I delegate? What am I going to do with this, right? What kind of a problem am I going to be running into? Maybe problem solve some things that could go wrong before you get to that point, right? Those kinds of things. And then also being able to look at after the fact, are you able to like have some insight into it and perhaps problem solve, how could I have done that differently?
Sure.
Or how could I have done that better, right? Yeah. Would there have been a different outcome if I had done A, B, or C instead? Yeah. And I think that's important too, because we want to learn from our mistakes. And often we think, oh, I made a mistake. That's a terrible thing. But from a cognitive standpoint, that's how we learn, is by making mistakes. But the other side of that learning is, what did I learn?
Right.
What went wrong, but how can I make it better for next time?
Right.
right? And instead of beating ourselves up, going, oh, okay, this is an opportunity to learn something, right? And so that's a part of your cognitive health, is being able to do that, okay? And lots of people can't do that. That it's a skill that a lot of people lack, okay? And so if somebody is having a hard time focusing, or they're really struggling to remember some of the things on their to-do list and they feel like they're dropping all the balls all the time, then it is a sign that they're lacking a little bit in this pillar.
Yeah.
And so then how are we going to help them to navigate that and figure out improvements in this pillar? Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, actually, kind of interesting about that is when I was heavier in weight, overweight, I used to use a CPAP machine every night, so sleep apnea, and I could tell, and like Jamie could tell right away if I skipped using my mask for a few days, how cognitive, right, forgetfulness would happen a lot, right, because you've physically rested, you haven't mentally rested at all, and so it's amazing. Like that's what I'm connecting right away. There is that cognitive without not being able to rest your brain, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the other side of that is that if your body and your brain are not getting enough oxygen for function, they don't function very well. Right?
Yeah.
And so one of the tools that we actually teach people when they need help in this pillar is to breathe.
Yeah.
Because that is actually a huge benefit for your brain to function better.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you make that connection, because it's like, it's on my list here. We're going to talk about that as we keep going.
There you go.
And then so potential follow-up questions, if people are struggling with this, would be things like, how do you keep track of all the things that you have to do in a day? Because maybe there's ways that we can help them to do that so that they feel like they're more organized, so that they feel like they're not dropping all the balls every day. There's a lot of tools out there that are available that are apps and those kinds of things. But a lot of people, those make it worse because they're spending more time on a device. So some people just need a plain piece of paper, right? And that is a great way for them to start doing that. Some people need to prioritize things. Because some of us, when we get to be really good list builders, then our lists just get longer and longer, right? And then we start to be unable to prioritize what is the most important thing that I need to do. And I always call it eat the frog first, right? So do we need to teach people that instead of procrastinating and putting off the thing that you want to do least, maybe you eat the frog first, and that's the most important part of your day. There's actually a book called that. And it's a great book. But do we teach people then to prioritize so that they don't feel like everything is dropping and that they're able to be better organized, right? And does that help their cognitive health? Yes. The other part of it is figuring out when they have great ideas. When do they think best, right? I know for me, when I go to the lake and I can sit and it's calm and I don't have this to-do list waiting on my shoulders, I love to write, but that is my place to go and write. If I try and do that when I'm at home, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Or the quality of what I write is very, very different. Everybody has a place. Everybody has an environment that is more conducive to them to have better cognitive abilities, right? And so figuring out where is that place. So if you stop and think about it for a minute, if you had to work on a project and you needed to be, creative and you need to be coming up with some great ideas, where would you go to do that?
I'm a thinker, and so personally, I get a lot of that done on windshield time, actually. I think a lot about that stuff. But I'm also a thinker, and then I'll take some notes, and then I'll think again. And it takes me multiple times to go back to things. But I'm not a crazy list maker. I will make lists. But my natural personality is I kind of like, I thrive really good under pressure. So I like the rush of that last minute bringing something together.
Bring it together.
But I know when there's very, very important pieces, we're kind of in that cycle right now for like strategic plan and our direction and some of these pieces in the organization, I start making notes. I put some key deadlines, or I know I will procrastinate and love feeling the rush of like that last minute and bringing it all together. I'm a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Now,
And then your staff are like, what are you doing to us? Yeah. We don't operate like that.
but I do thrive from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we were just talking about that before we started, about how everybody is so different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part of looking at each of these pillars, is that not everybody needs to really focus on this pillar.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that do need to focus on this pillar. And so how do we determine, right, where do we need the most assistance, and where do we even start?
Right.
And that's where a coach comes in to help you through all of
Sure.
these things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And then the third part of it is what helps you to have a clearer head? What helps you to calm down some of that chaos or some of that feeling disorganized, and actually helps you to feel clarity? And for some people, it is, I just need to stop and breathe.
Yeah.
Because the breathing helps to calm their nervous system. It just helps them to get a better oxygen gas exchange, so their brain and their organs start to function better, can decrease their heart rate so they're not panicking about things, right? And it just gives them a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now I can start again, right? And so, but again, everybody's different. Doesn't always work for everybody. Some people, get me outside and I'm going to walk around the block.
Yeah.
And that's their thing. And that's what gives them the clarity, right? And sometimes it's trial and error. If you don't know what gives you the clarity, then you have to trial and error it. And so do you start with, oh, I'm going to try and breathe? Or for you, maybe it's like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym every day because that gives me clarity, right? Yeah. Makes my brain feel like I can function better, like my thoughts are more organized, like I can deal with the stresses of all those things coming together at once a little better. And so maybe that's your thing, right? Yeah. For me, it's a walk outside in the afternoon. Yeah. That's the fresh air. Actually being outside is my reset for the rest of my day. Otherwise, I get home and I just want to sit here and read a book. I don't want to work anymore today, right? And
sometimes in the office, I just need that brain break, and it's getting up. And sometimes it's little brain breaks, like you just got to go say hi or quick stroll to the office. Sometimes I might be working on something heavy, and I just, you know what? I got half hour. I'm gonna go down to one of the sites and say hi and go do a check-in at one of the sites, and it's a brain break to kind of get processing. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit how
you function.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because if we talk to everybody in your office and just went, okay, so what do you do? What do you do? Yeah. Some people would have no idea because they're just chaotic and this is maybe their pillar that they need to really focus on, right? They're stressed all the time. They're operating up here all the time, right? Yeah. Feeling completely stressed out. And then the next person will be, I go visit Tess when I need to just stop for a second, or I go, and go and have a laugh for a minute and just kind of reset, or I meet so-and-so at the coffee pot and we have a quick conversation and then I feel good and I can keep going on, right?
Yeah, everybody has different ways. Like some just have an amazing focus and it amazes me, but and I can get in those modes, mm-hmm. but it's amazing how sometimes I can get stuck and I need to get unstuck before moving forward, right? Yeah. Personally, but that's just me.
And so for you is interesting. So you've made lots of lifestyle changes mm-hmm. in the last couple of years, and we've talked about it in some of the other weeks. So I feel comfortable that you're okay talking about this. But would you say that as you made those changes that you felt like your cognitive health improved?
100%. Yeah, I can focus better.
Yeah.
And I think what adds to the focus is I sleep better.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. That's one thing I really focus on that I didn't used to do. Is I really make sure I go to bed at a certain time. I have a bit of a routine now when I'm going to bed. I want to have a good sleep and wake up rested.
Yeah. I was at an event a few weeks ago and a lady said to me, when she figured out what I did for a living, she said, so what's the most important thing? Movement or exercise, or movement or food? And I said, neither one. And she said, what are you talking about? One of those is the most important. And I said, no, sleep's the most important.
Yeah.
Because if you're not getting sleep, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Sure.
It's just
You need recovery.
Yeah, you have to have the recovery. And people underestimate how important stress reduction and recovery are to your cognitive health and to your health overall. They are incredibly, incredibly important.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we ended up having a conversation about it and resetting your circadian rhythm and making sure you have good habits, good sleep habits, right? That you go to bed at the same time every night, you get up the same time every morning, you reset that clock, and how much of an impact that has on your entire system. Everything works better when your circadian rhythm is on par for you, right? Everybody is different. Some people thrive staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning and getting up at noon. And if they have a job that lets them do that, fantastic. It's not the reality for most of us, right? And so other people thrive on, for me, 10 o'clock. Hockey game's on, doesn't matter to me. Hockey game's off, I'll see the score in the morning, right? Resetting that rhythm, for me, has a massive impact on my cognitive health. And if I don't sleep, I know my brain does not work as well. So, yeah, so kind of a big deal. But it's interesting that you're kind of a case study for that, right? To say, like, because I think there's kind of a backwards thinking when it comes to health and wellness. And we've kind of touched on this before, but it's a good time to kind of touch on it again, is that people will say, when I lost weight, this happened. And my challenge to them is always, was it about the weight you lost or about the habits that you changed to do that?
Right.
Because 100% people that take pills to lose weight, as an example, will not have the same result that you have had. So have you lost the weight? Yes. Does it make your brain stronger? Does it improve your sleep? Does it make all those same changes as what you've experienced by adding movement, making changes to your diet, changing your sleep, changing all these lifestyle things are what gave you the result that you have, and how your brain and your body function right now is a function of those things that you've changed. It has nothing to do with the lost weight. It has everything to do with the lifestyle habits that you have integrated in.
Right.
People that are skinny have the same issues with their pillars being out of whack. It doesn't matter about the body size piece. What matters is, what are your habits and how are you looking after your health? And I think for a lot of people, because there's such a focus on the weight loss portion, they underestimate the importance of the habits. And so then when they don't see results immediately, because somebody said, well, you have to lose weight for this to be beneficial, then they just stop. And I think if we're telling people instead, you know what, the weight part doesn't matter. You're going to see an improvement in how your brain functions. You're going to see an improvement in how your body feels, in your energy, in all of the things. Your relationships will improve. Your emotional health will improve. Your mental health will improve. Anxiety, depression, stress, all those things improve when you change these pillars. And we have less focus on the weight. We'd have an awful lot of healthier people.
Sure.
Right? But I think when people don't see that instantaneous gratification, then they stop.
Yeah, you're focused on the wrong part, right?
You're focused on the wrong part.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, and I've gone through, we were talking a little bit earlier about that. I've gone through personally those ups and downs, because initially my journey started because I was struggling mentally and I needed to get out and walk. I've said that before. I was very open about that. I needed to get out, walk, and clear my head. That's one thing I needed some help with. And it just kind of evolved, and it just all started with just like walking and trying to look after myself a little bit better, so I'd feel better and start my day off on a positive note instead of feeling down on myself or whatnot. But yeah, you do go through this these ebbs and flows, and I've been in those spots where you're like, I've also beaten myself up because you have results and you have more results, and then you really want to take it to that next level, and you go on a strong, like a period of time where you're really counting calories or something, and you don't quite see the results you wanted, and then you're beating yourself up. And I've been down that side path too, and it's really, it's hard. It can be hard on yourself, right?
Yeah. And I think if we're focusing more on part of the reason the pillars are so strong and why they work so well for people is because we're not focused on that. We're focused on these health measures instead. How is your anxiety? Is it better? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you going back to that, right? We want you to be able to manage the anxiety. We want you to be able to manage the depression. We want you to be able to manage the stress, right? Those things are really important for your health overall. Did we get you off medications? Kind of important.
Yeah.
We don't want to be on prescription drugs if we don't need to be, right? What's your blood pressure like? What's your heart rate doing, right? Are you still on a CPAP or did you manage to get off of it? Right? All those things are incredibly important health markers. What's your blood work look like? None of those things have anything to do with the number on a scale.
Yeah.
None of them. They're all just health metrics.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that are considered overweight that their markers are bang on perfect.
Yeah.
They move every day.
Yeah.
They do stress management, right? Like they're doing all the things and they're healthy people.
Yeah.
Right. And so they just keep on trucking.
Yeah.
They keep doing all the things because it's working for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I find that those people that are doing those things, their cognitive health is also better.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're not getting so stressed and mired in all the diet industry or in the fitness industry myths, garbage, which we're going to talk about after.
Don't get stuck in the wrong things.
Yeah, don't get stuck in the wrong place. Yeah, that's it exactly. That is it exactly. Yeah. So there's really three things, and we've kind of hit on these already, but I do want to talk about them just kind of in context a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing when it comes to your cognitive health is that we have to look after exercise and lifestyle habits, which is what we just finished talking about. And so that's the number one. Number two is the mindfulness and self-care. And this is also part of that recovery, right? The stress, the sleep, and the recovery that are so important for our brains to function really well.
Right.
And so if we're stressed out all the time and we're never stopping and we're not setting boundaries and we don't have a gratitude practice in place or something that brings us down and helps us to deal with the mental health side of things, then we're not looking after our cognitive health either. Right. And it's been shown that things like goal setting, breathing, gratitude practice are fantastic for helping people with anxiety and depression. And if you are dealing with anxiety and depression, it's really hard to have good, strong cognitive health.
Yes.
So those two things really do go hand in hand. And then the last part of it is being connected. And often when we talk about connection, we're talking about like connection with people. But it's also being connected to learning. And I'm a lifetime learner. I think that there's huge benefit in never stopping learning, whether it's learning from your mistakes or taking courses or whatever it might be. But I think that we're always stronger if we continue to learn more and more things. And everybody's always bugging me, Donna, what course are you taking now? Well, I'm taking this, I'm doing this, right? And I think it's part of what keeps me young, number one. But it's also part of what keeps my brain functioning really well is that I'm always trying to learn something else.
Right.
And when we stop learning, then your cognitive health does start to decline.
How does tying in, I guess, different kinds of personal interests or hobbies tie in with, I guess, cognitive health and taking care of yourself? I'm just curious.
They're really important actually, because having a hobby, you're learning something new, right? You're always learning. So take my husband for an example, he loves to do woodworking stuff.
Yeah.
And so he just finished making a beautiful table for his dad.
Yeah.
And is there a learning process in there? Yeah. Every time you build something new, there's a learning process that goes with it, right? And so is he always learning new things through his hobby? Yes. Is it also a stress reducer? Yes. Yeah. Does it help with his mood? Yes. Right. And it's also a connection piece for him because he's connecting with his dad, but then he's also connecting with us, having those conversations about it and what he's doing, and he's excited about it and all those things. Right. And so it hits a lot of different points. And we kind of talked about did we talk about it, or was it with Tess we talked about the importance of the emotional importance of having those relationships, right? And those connections through relationships. We talked about the relationship one. And so your hobbies can help with that too, right? Because then it's yet another topic that you can have a conversation with other people, right? Or to have a new group of people that perhaps you're meeting because they have the same interests as you. And that just expands your knowledge and, you know, all of those things. So I know a few ladies that come to the studio that are part of like quilting groups.
Right.
And they love to quilt, but it's so much more fun to go and quilt when you're with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And they're visiting and they're helping each other and they're learning from each other. It's fantastic, right? And then you can see the difference with people that don't have those things.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So do you have a hobby?
Well, I like gardening quite a bit.
Do you?
Actually, yeah.
Interesting.
Fishing and just being outdoors, cycling and so on. I still snowboard, so I'll go do that in the winter a bit. But I definitely have a handful of things I like to try to stay busy with. Even one of our favorite pastimes Jamie and I do, and I think it actually ties in quite well with the cognitive thinking, and you have to use a little bit of brain and everything, but just like, you know, de-stressing, coming home and playing a best of 3 crib. We play crib. And
I love crib.
Right? But it's something like, you know, I think that's just key.
Yep. Yeah. Crib is one of those things. It's amazing how many people love crib.
Yeah.
I had a client just this week say that's how her parents start every single day. They get up every morning and they enjoy a cup of coffee together and they play around a 3 crib.
Yeah.
Who's winning today? But that's how they start their day, right? Every day. That's part of it. And it just gets their brains working.
Sure
it does. Right. And they're in their mid 70s and this is part of what their everyday looks like. So then they go for a walk and they do, you know, all sorts of other things. But that initial start to get their brains working in the morning, I think is fantastic. And way better than sitting there and staring at the social media for an hour. You get up in the morning, which is like mind numbing. Right?
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's interesting. I like to hear about people's hobbies because there's so many different things that you could do. And sometimes you don't think of some of the options that are out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. So we're going to talk about myths and flex our cognitive load for a few minutes here.
Okay.
So first one, there are a lot of aches and pains that are just part of getting older. Is that true or false?
I think it's false.
You think it's false?
I do, yeah.
I agree. But it has to be one of the biggest things that I hear from people on a regular basis. And it's saying, well, I hit 50. So, you know, everything starts falling apart, or 40 or whatever it might be. And it's actually not true. So because if it were true, then every single person that was 50 would feel like they're 80. Right. So it's not true. But when we talk about all of our pillars, the people that feel the best when they get older are the people that have strong pillars. So their physical health is good. Their emotional health is good, right? They're looking after their relational health. They're looking after all their pillars. They have a reason to get up in the morning and go and do things, right? The people that have the strongest pillars have the least number of aches and pains. It goes hand in hand. Yeah, it does go hand in hand. And a few weeks ago, I did a post on my own stuff because I was a gymnast as a kid and I coached. And I just, every year, same time of year, usually right at the end of summer, I still do cartwheels. And I did a little video of me, and I'll be 55 and I'm still doing cartwheels. Pain-free doing cartwheels.
Yeah.
And people say, well, how is that even possible? I mean, you must have aches and pains. No, I'm pretty darn good, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty good. But I have strong pillars, right? And so I think everybody has something that they want to be able to keep doing. Maybe yours, I want to keep snowboarding.
Yeah, well,
right? Like that's what I would love to keep doing. I have clients that are in their late 50s, early 60s, are still biking in the mountains.
Oh, sure.
And they're feeling better than their kids do when they go and take them out, right? So, I mean, age is a number. It isn't determined. Your pain and your aches and pains are not determined by the number.
Right.
They're actually determined by your lifestyle. So that's number one.
And again, resting. Like
Mm-hmm.
I learned a pretty good lesson recently. I've been sick and I'm getting over it, and hadn't been to the gym for 9 days, and my shoulder's been bothering me for a while. And letting it rest, it's amazing how it feels. And I lifted light today, first time back in the gym, and felt really good. But I don't need to hurt. I don't want to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't work through it either.
Oh, that's one of the things on our list. It's like, did you snoop and
looking,
see my list?
No, I'm not looking. I'm just talking. So.
All right. Anything else you want to touch on that one?
No,
Any other questions about that one?
No, I learned a lesson myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of learning,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. All right, we'll skip to the bottom because you just mentioned this one. No pain, no gain.
Yeah. No. Well, that's false.
That's false.
And
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way.
It is most definitely false. But it is amazing how many times I'll hear that in a week, even just having conversations with people. So I'll just run into people and they'll tell me, whatever, they had a hard workout and they're so sore that they couldn't get up and down off the toilet, or they couldn't manage to climb up their stairs at home or whatever because they're so sore. Well, no pain, no gain, right, Donna? No. No. Actually, if you can't actually get up off the toilet and if you can't walk up a set of stairs, you did too much.
Yeah.
Right? If you are stiff and sore for 5 days after you've done a workout, it was beyond what your body was ready for.
Yeah.
It's a sign. Your body is trying to tell you something.
Yeah.
And pain is your body and your brain's way of saying, yoo-hoo, there's something wrong, eh?
Yeah.
There's something wrong. Is it okay to have some stiffness after a workout? 100%. I'm not saying that it's not, or that it's not okay. But to be in pain is your body's way of saying there is something going on.
Right.
We have a problem. And a lot of people will ignore it, push it off. It'll be fine. It'll get better, whatever. And then what I hear from people the most, because we deal with a lot of post-rehab therapeutic type clients, is, I don't know what happened. I bent over to pick up a pen and my back just gave out, right? Or I reached behind me for something in my back seat and my shoulder just went. How long has your shoulder been bugging you? About 5 years.
Yeah.
It didn't just go.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
It has been telling you for a long time that there was a problem. And finally, your body just went, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm out.
Right.
You're not listening to me. So I think that we have to be aware of what is your pain telling you? Is it telling you, okay, you're a little stiff today, whatever, but you can still get up and down out of a chair, you're fine? Yeah. Or is it saying, hey, you might have lifted a little incorrectly in that last chest press that you did.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, pay attention a little bit. Maybe we got to watch our form. Maybe we got to lighten the load for a few days, something. But maybe we need to pay attention to this. Maybe you just need an adjustment or a massage or something, right? And then you can carry on. But I think we get very caught up in that no pain, no gain, and then we just ignore what our body is actually trying to tell us.
Right.
So, which has an effect on your brain's ability to function well.
Right.
Right? So it's very distracted when it's trying to keep you out of pain and you're not listening.
Correct. 100%.
Right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And pain in and of itself is very distracting, right?
Sure.
And it makes everything else more difficult to do. So yeah, no pain, no gain is a big one. All right. I know you'll like this one because we were talking about this earlier. Sugar is bad for you.
That's false.
That's false.
Yeah.
Why is it false?
Because sugar is not bad for you. No. I think one could maybe argue the amount and the refined or the types, but I mean, sugar in general is not bad.
Right. Yeah. And I think a big part of this is, I've been in this industry for over 30 years. Every food under the sun has been deemed as bad at some time or another.
Sure.
In my 30 years of doing this, 35 years. Dating myself. Everything from Eggs. Eggs have been demonized on the good list, on the bad list, the good list again. I can't count how many times. For a while there, fat is bad for you. And then it was bread is bad for you. Carbs are bad for you. We're even going through a little bit of a phase now where it's like red meat is bad for you, right? And inevitably, every one of those things has been debunked. We talked about the fact that you can go into any used bookstore and the wall will be covered in diet books that will tell you this food is bad, this food is bad, this food is bad, this food is bad. And if you look at all those books, or even if you look on the internet and start looking up what foods are bad for me, every food that you can imagine is bad for you, depending on who you ask and which study you look at. And like the list is endless, really. For me, the bottom line is you cannot attach morality to food.
Right.
Food is an inanimate object. It cannot be good or bad, right? But when we use that language with people, it really makes them feel a lot of shame and guilt about their food choices, right? And so from an emotional health standpoint, and this kind of gets us into the disordered eating habits, eating disorders themselves, a lot of these messages that we've given people over the years are the catalysts for a lot of those things, right? And a lot of the things that we talk about in the diet industry are actually disordered eating habits for people.
And I guess I would even suggest, I'm no expert, but I would think even if when a person goes into different types of diets and doesn't eat something balanced, it can sure mess up maybe a lot of metabolism and how your body digests and processes. And so probably not great for you in the long run. It might be good short term or see results short term, not good, but it could maybe be detrimental for you long term, right?
For sure, right? And so we could use gluten as an example, right? Because currently there's an awful lot of talk about gluten, and that's kind of been a topic of conversation for a long time. But when we cut out certain foods, your body will stop making the digestive enzymes to process those foods. And depending on how long you've been without them, then it can take a while for your body to start making them again. And so gluten is one of those things that it's a good example because so many people are going gluten-wise or gluten-free because they think it's just more healthy. And for the average person, it's actually not. You actually miss out on some essential vitamins and minerals when you go gluten-free. And so you need to add in those essential vitamins and minerals if you're missing them out of your diet. But short story, I had a client years ago who thought that she was gluten sensitive and even went as far to suggest perhaps celiac, which, I mean, if you're celiac, you need to stay away from it 100%, right? And so finally, after years of trying to get somebody to test her, she found a doctor that would test her because they didn't really think that she was celiac, right? And so the doctor said, well, you're going to have to eat a whole bunch of gluten. And this lady hadn't eaten gluten in years and years. And so, of course, as soon as she started eating it, she started to get bloated. And so she was only eating it at like one meal a day and went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, no, you have to eat more of it than that. You're going to have to load up on gluten for like 3 months. You're going to have to load up before we actually test you to find out what's going on. By the end of the second month of her eating gluten twice a day, all the symptoms were gone. And then she got tested at the end of the third month, and she was eating gluten twice a day. Negative. But for years, she thought she was celiac. But it took 2 months for her body to go, yeah, we're actually okay.
Yeah.
Right? So it takes time. But that's one of those things. For years, she's like, but it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. It actually wasn't. Her daughter is a celiac. Right? So can it run in the family? Yeah. Right? But yeah, I think everything in moderation is fine. A lot of the studies that have been done about sugar, pop was a big factor. And if you take pop out of the study, the people that weren't drinking any pop, or if there's no pop in the study, the amounts that people eat is actually not that high.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. You'll love this one. If you don't sweat during a workout, it doesn't count.
That's false. As much as I like to feel like I did something and I sweat, it's false. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Movement, and I think that a lot of people avoid movement because this is what they think. Well, I don't like sweating, so I might as well not, right? Well, there's lots of ways to move your body that don't involve sweating. And just because you don't does not mean that it's less effective.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I love to lift weights. I love Pilates. I love to walk. I do not love to sweat. I'm the opposite of you. That's not my favorite thing.
And I am like, Jamie can't stand how much laundry we have because I have, it's a change of gym clothes every day because they're just soaked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been a sweater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So everybody, right? Yeah. It's like, I didn't think I'd be talking about this today.
Yeah, I didn't think
right?
so, but yeah, no.
Here we are.
You see me out for a run in the summer, I'm going to be soaking wet.
Yeah.
Like I just am. Yeah.
Right. And so this one actually came from, I asked my staff about these, by the way. Yeah. So some of them are their biggest pet peeves. And or running, right? Like this falls into there too. Like if you're not running, you're not actually exercising, right? And you can get a lot of benefits from going for a walk.
I was just talking about that too. I'm like, boy, you can pound the crap out of yourself for 30 minutes or walk 40 and it's just the same.
It is.
It's the same thing. Like if you just give yourself 10 more minutes, like yes, it's going to be a little bit more calories because you're physically moving a little bit more. But if you don't want to feel sore at all, like hurting and get the same benefits, 10 minutes longer is not a big deal.
Yeah. Right. and depending on what your goal is, right? Should people be gaining strength? Yes. Right. We need to make sure that we're strong.
Yeah.
And not everybody sweats in the gym.
Right.
Not everybody sweats when they're doing any kind of, and we hear it all the time in a Pilates studio because sweating isn't high on the list. We are very slow, controlled, precise movements. Can you gain strength and gain muscle from being on Pilates equipment? Yes. But are you going to be sweating the whole time you're there? No.
I would be glistening.
Oh, well, I might have to take you up on that like as a challenge.
I would be.
We'll get you into the studio.
Honestly, yeah. Anyways.
And some people just do. Some people sweat easier,
Yeah.
right? And some people don't sweat no matter how hard you work. So when I used to work in the gym, I mean, I'd run into people all the time. I mean, put them on a treadmill and put them on a run, and they would not sweat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, some people just don't.
Correct.
So, yeah, I sweat all the time, but that's hot flashes. It's a different conversation. That is a different thing entirely. Yeah. But it's also part of the reason that I don't like movement for myself currently that makes me sweat, because the hot flashes play a role in that.
Oh, yeah.
Once that starts, you can't make them stop, right? So for me and for a lot of women going through that change in their lives, that high intensity exercise can be a catalyst for stress, and stress can make your hot flashes worse. It can make all of those things that are happening with your hormones worse, and exercise is a stress to your system. So for a lot of people have to find that happy medium.
Right.
And that's the reality, right? So are you better doing some things that you're moving your body, you're gaining strength in your body, you're gaining some heart health and some respiratory health out of the deal? Yes. The amount you're sweating has no factor. It's a nothing.
Correct.
Yeah. So for everybody out there that doesn't exercise or move because like, if I don't sweat, it's not worth it. That's just not true. All right. Last one. Being skinny means you're healthy.
That is false.
It is false. Again, see, we talked about too many things before we started today. You had hints.
I did. But no, it's not a sign of health.
It's not a sign of health. No. But it's amazing how we associate weight loss with being healthy.
Correct.
There's a lot of association there. And we've talked about it before. The diet industry is $1 billion industry a year. They have a very loud voice. They have a lot of marketing money, right? And it's pervasive. And sometimes we don't even realize that we're mimicking and speaking diet language, because it's become such an ingrained part of our culture and our society,
Sure.
right? And I deal with a lot of people that have disordered eating habits, and even people that have already been through treatment for eating disorders. And it is amazing how important that language is. And we kind of talked about earlier that whole good versus bad.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about, demonizing certain kinds of food, and then and understanding that the language that you use around those foods actually matters to a lot of people. It has an impact on them. If we're always telling people that packaged foods are terrible and that you should never eat them, if you are in a position where that's what you can afford and that's what you're feeding your family, and the messaging continues to be you're a terrible parent because you're feeding your children this, well, they would be starving if you didn't feed them this.
Right.
So, but we're giving them the message that they're being a terrible parent, right? And so language matters, and language matters around food, and it matters around movement. And a lot of people are not doing things to help themselves
Sure.
or their health because of languaging messages.
Right.
And so I think that we need to have more open conversations about that. We need to be talking to people about what that language is like. One of my clients last year said, and she was young, she was a university student. She said she grew up with her mom constantly telling her, no, you can't eat that, it'll make you fat. So when she's been told how many foods over the years are bad because they'll make her fat, what is her association now?
Right.
So then she doesn't eat.
Yeah.
So she ended up with an eating disorder because she wasn't eating, right? And not mom being a bad person at all, but language.
Sure.
Right? Language being important. Or I'm not eating supper tonight because I have to fit in my dress.
Right.
Right? And I grew up with that language too, not from my mom, but from other parents in our area, right? The 70s and 80s, we had a lot of that. Diet industry was pretty new back then, right?
Yeah.
But what does that do? What does that language do to our cognitive health? We start to have certain perceptions. We start to have certain feelings about ourselves. We believe certain things cognitively, because that's what the messaging is that we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Counting their calories and getting too invested in that, all those things can affect up here.
Yes.
Big time. Yeah.
Yes, it can. And again, we kind of talked about it earlier that we have a lot of very advanced nutrition and exercise things that we can get into, right? You can talk about bulking up, and you can talk about, getting, cutting for competitions and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We can talk about counting calories. We can talk about, how many grams of protein are we getting in a day, those kinds of things. But for the average person, they just need to find a balance.
Correct.
They just really do, where they can eat a balanced diet 80% of the time. That's all. And most people struggle with just that. And because part of it is because they're trying to do things that are more advanced than where they are right now, right? It's kind of like saying, I'm going to start teaching you how to swim. So I'm going to take you out in the boat and throw you off. Right?
Right.
So start swimming, dude, or you're going to drown. Right? Which is a joke because we used to do that to kids. Anyway, right? But instead of saying, I'm going to take you to the pool, or I'm going to take you to the lake, and we're going to start with blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
Stick your face in the water, right? Let's start there. Nutrition and movement are the same way. It works exactly the same way. You have to learn those skills, and you have to apply the skills, and then you add on more skills, and then you get better at it, and then you add on more skills, right? And the more you apply those skills, the less you have to think about them, because they become second nature.
Right.
And I get people that will say to me all the time, well, you do all these things for yourself. That must take you forever. No, they're habits.
Yeah.
I just do them all the time. I don't even think about them. When I buy groceries, this is how I buy groceries. When I make a meal plan, this is what I do, right? Like, movement is part of my everyday thing. Taking time to breathe and journal is part of my everyday thing. And I do those things because I know that it makes my brain better.
Right.
Because I know it improves my mental health, because I know I get anxious and I don't do well if I don't look after these things. And so I need to do those things. I'm a much better boss. I'm a better teacher. I'm a better employer. Like everything when these pillars are looked after. And when they're looked after, my cognitive health is better, right? And then it becomes easier to remember to do them.
Right.
Because
it's just part of your
it's all
routine,
part of
like you
it,
said,
right?
yeah.
But that happens not because I added it all at once and overwhelmed my brain. It happens because I added a little tiny thing at a time.
Yeah.
And it just became, oh, well, that's easy. I can do that. Add another thing. Well, that becomes easy. Well, I can just do that. And it's just part of, right? I had a lady the other day say, well, how do I remember to take my iron supplement every day? I can never remember to take it. So, well, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? Well, I make a pot of coffee. So put your pills beside the coffee.
Yeah.
Right? And she just looked at me and said, I never thought of that. But then it becomes habit. She pours the water in the coffee pot, pours herself a glass of water, takes her iron pill, away we go.
Done.
And it's done. She's just created a habit.
Yeah.
So can she build on that? Of course. Right? And it seems almost silly because it seems simplistic, but simple's good.
Yeah.
Your brain really likes simple.
Yeah.
Your brain loves simple things,
Yeah,
right? And which is why that KISS principle is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Always keep it simple. And the simpler that you can keep things, the easier it is for your brain to remember them, the easier it is for your brain to apply them, the easier it is for you to maintain a habit.
Right.
And then it's easier to add an extra one on because it's nothing. It's simple. It's easy. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Those are all the ones. Do you have any other ones for me that you want to tackle?
No.
Those are the ones I put on my list. No. No.
Embarrass myself.
No. Whatever. I don't think there's any embarrassment there. All right. So how do we build mental health? So this, or cognitive health, this list, we should be getting pretty used to seeing this list at this point because every single thing on this list has been on our other lists.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week, how now you can start to see that there's a definite connection from one to the other to the other. 30 minutes of movement per day, moving every day. It affects every single pillar, right? Eating a balanced diet 80% of the time. I say 80% of the time, that's my training, but also because if you weren't 80% of the time, what do you do at your kid's birthday party?
Yeah.
Do you not eat what they're having for the birthday party because you have to stick to your diet, right? You're going to a family meal or something is a cultural meal, perhaps, right? There has to be leeway. There has to be room for fun. There has to be room for 100%. Life, right? Outside of being strict with yourself all the time, right? So, and the 80% of the time is also good for your brain because then you're not so regimented, right? Yeah, there has to be some fun. Yeah. Staying hydrated, your brain works so much better when you're fed and hydrated, right? My husband will laugh and say, oh, when's the last time you ate? Because you're kind of hangry and I don't do well if I don't eat. I also don't do well if I don't stay hydrated. So I'll start to notice, my brain feels kind of fuzzy. I don't really think I'm thinking through this really well. When's the last time I had water? Oh yeah, I've been drinking too much coffee today. I need some water, right? And then it's almost immediately you can start to feel the difference in your brain as soon as you start to drink some water. We talked about the regular sleep schedule. Your brain always works better when your circadian rhythm is on track and when you have that regular sleep schedule. Creating breathing practice. Again, that breathing practice is really key. You pointed it out with the CPAP machine and being able to get that good oxygen exchange in there. All your organs work better when you breathe well, and your brain is an organ. So super important. I aim for at least 5 minutes a day of just breathing, usually in that 7 to 10 minute range.
Right.
Setting boundaries is something that we don't always think about from a cognitive health standpoint. But if you stop and think about it for just 1 second, if you say yes to everything that everybody comes and asks you to do, how well is your brain going to function if you say yes to everything?
That's the first thing I was thinking about. Yeah. Is being able to set boundaries and say no, because say yes to everything.
Yeah. And so how many people do you know that always say yes and that
I know
they
quite a
struggle
few.
to say no?
Yeah.
And are they stressed out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they find time for regular movement?
Well, they do.
Some of them do. All right. So in my experience, a lot of people that are yes people don't find time for themselves because they're too busy saying yes to everybody else.
Correct.
Right. So when we say yes to everybody else, effectively what happens is we start to say no to ourselves.
Right.
Because we don't have time.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I say yes to you for this project or yes to you for going and doing this, well, what happened to my workout time just now?
Yeah.
Because now it's interfering with, I said yes to you. So no, I don't have time to do that today now. It's okay. I'll look after it tomorrow. And then tomorrow doesn't happen because, right, I said yes to somebody else. Right. So setting boundaries is incredibly important when it comes to your cognitive health.
Yeah.
And that is from a stress standpoint. Yeah. Harmful substances like alcohol, drugs, tobacco, nicotine. This is pretty self-explanatory. All of these things affect how your brain functions. So of course, alcohol and drugs definitely impair your cognitive function. And then anything that you smoke is also going to affect how your brain is working.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and so if we talk to people that have addiction to any of these items, then they will talk about, not being able to do that movement every day, not being able to do things for themselves, getting easily stuck in spirals, right? Of maybe not being able to control mood or not being willing to learn or not having the mental capacity to learn because we're dealing with alcohol and drugs, right? Practicing gratitude. There are so many ways to practice gratitude, right? Not everybody likes taking pen and paper and writing things down. We talked about it one other day. Part of setting yourself up for a good circadian rhythm for a lot of people is go to bed and think of 3 things that you're grateful for. You don't even have to write them down. But when you go to bed in the mindset that you're grateful, your brain wakes up more positive in the morning. It's hard to be negative and have a negative brain when you are thinking about positive things. Right. And having a positive outlook and being able to deal with things in a positive manner is part of having good cognitive health. So, setting goals. So this takes us back to kind of having a sense of purpose, right? Being able to set goals, have something to look forward to, something that I'm working towards. Whether that's you decide to go back and get your PhD or you decide to do, what I like to take extra courses and learn new things. Those new goals and those new things that you set for yourself to do keep your brain functioning and moving forward, right? And they keep you excited about learning the next thing and maybe applying the next thing you learn or sharing it with somebody else or whatever that might be, right? Which also falls into that learning new things and then building strong connections. Also really good for your brain, right? It's hard to be lonely, right? Being lonely or feeling isolated really puts us into a poor cognitive space. But when we're making good, solid connections and we're having great conversations and we're not feeling isolated and alone, then our brain definitely functions on a much different level.
100%.
And then the big one, stress. And I think as a society, we have a lot of very stressed out people. We do have a lot of stressed out people. And when people are stressed, it's really hard for their brains to function properly. So what do? How do we find some stress management techniques for people? And some of the things just on this list are great stress management techniques, right? Getting out and going for a walk every day to clear your brain, taking a minute to breathe, right? Setting some boundaries. All those things are technically ways that you can reduce stress in your life. And so then just that all in of itself can be enough for you to help manage your stress or to make your brain work better. A calm brain is a really high functioning brain. All right. Being able to be your true self is one of the strongest components of good mental health. And so if we're always trying to pretend and be somebody else or impress other people or, not be ourselves, and go after the things that make us happy, then your mental health will be affected by it.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for you today.
Awesome.
Unless you got questions. Do we have any questions?
No questions out there.
No questions
So,
out there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, this was excellent. Again, I know personally, going through a journey, a fitness journey, there's highs and lows, right? And so so many things landed tonight about how we can get stuck in our head about certain things, and at the end of the day, like you mentioned earlier about we focus on the weight, for example. Well, that isn't what it was about. It was about I wanted to feel better, and I needed to stay focused on that. But I was getting stuck on other areas instead of where I originally started out with. I just wanted to feel better walking and help myself, right? So no, this was good, and it's just good to always have that gratitude and be thankful that we're able to be in a space where we can take care of ourselves and be able to create time for ourselves to take care of ourselves too. So this was it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to realize that sometimes your brain lies to you too. Eh? It will tell you you're not making progress,
Sure.
or it will instill some fear in you that really isn't there, right? You'll hear something repeatedly, and the things we hear repeatedly, we start to believe. Even if down deep it's not true, that little subconscious brain starts to go, I don't know, Peter, you've had 5 people tell you that now. Maybe there's something to that, right? Or you've heard that phrase this many times. Maybe there's a little something to that, right? And it's amazing how your subconscious brain can override some of your logical thought processes, right? So it's your brain's just an amazing organ in what it controls.
I might not get this right, but I believe there's a quote somewhere out there around like comparison is the thief of happiness,
or joy.
It
might be joy.
Anyways, getting stuck in those kind of pieces. We've talked about it in other previous ones around like scrolling on the Instagram and getting stuck in the comparison thing or so on too, right? And then it gets, like you said, brain. It's not good. So yeah,
and I think sometimes that it makes you forget your progress.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And that maybe your progress isn't this massive leap, but it's steady, right? And that there's always change. It's just you can't always see the immediate change that's happening. Sometimes the change is that you've become more consistent. You've become mentally more strong, right? Because you're maintaining that consistency. I give my clients credit all the time because I've got clients that have been coming to see me for 15 years, same time, same day, 15 years. They're still coming. And that consistency is a strength. That's a massive strength. And it's a mental strength, right? They have set that aside. This is what I do. They have boundaries around that time. All of the things that are on that list, they do to make that happen, right? And they consistently do it. And so do they see massive changes every week after 15 years? Well, no, of course not. No. But if they go away on a holiday for a month, can they tell they haven't been? Yes. Right? In fact, most of them 2 weeks. I take 2 weeks off. We close the studio for 2 weeks at Christmas time. And inevitably, everybody comes back and says, you're not allowed to close. You can't close for 2 weeks next year. You're not allowed. I still close for 2 weeks every Christmas, right? Yeah. But because we give them lots of tools that they can do these things at home. Yeah. Not everybody does. But the point is that you're still making progress even if your brain is trying to lie to you and tell you that you're not. Right. It's still happening.
100%.
And it just might not be showing up as that big number change on a scale, but maybe your resting heart rate has dropped by another number, or
Right.
maybe your blood pressure has just improved, or you know what, there's other things, right? Maybe you fell asleep faster, maybe, right? Like there's just so many other things. And you got off that CPAP machine, yeah, right?
Or you're just maintaining a healthy place
Oh,
that you got to.
and everything is just fantastic.
Maintain.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing wrong with maintenance.
No.
Either, right?
100% there's not.
And you're in maintenance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're able to maintain a specific level of health that's good for you,
Yeah.
fantastic. Just keep maintaining that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, thank
That's
you. We have one more session coming up on February 27th. So next couple weeks.
2 weeks.
Couple weeks. So we're looking forward to that. But what did I say?
February.
Oh, I even wrote it down. February, November 27th. November 27th. So not way.
Not 3 months from
Not
now.
3 months. 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
So thank you again, and looking forward to our last session.
Sounds good.
All right.
Me too.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks.
Bye.
I didn't even